Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Good morning in Berlin, I guess. It's morning here. Dear CC members, partners, and friends. On behalf of CC team, I would like to welcome you all to this CC SMS Messaging Summit in Berlin, both at the Marriott Hotel, but also virtually via our CC-Webinar.Live platform. After challenging 12 months, we as a community stayed strong, and now we are getting together face-to-face in Berlin, as well as virtually. And we hope that by 2022 or latest 23 globally, we will leave behind us this very challenging and uncertain times. I would like to send our special thanks to the official sponsor partner for today's CC-Webinar.Live session, Ibasis. Thank you so much for the Ibasis team for your support and trust, but also our CC SMS Messaging Summit official sponsors for the incredible support. To all our speakers and panelists, thank you so much for taking the time and being with us today here in Berlin at the Marriott Hotel, but also virtually, and sharing with us your insight, your intelligence, and enlightening us. Of course, without the loyal members, we wouldn't have gone so far. And thank you so much for all the support and trust that we receive. I wish you all very productive days here in Berlin and good memories, and also many nice discussions and businesses. And my team and myself, I will stay at your disposal for all these 3 days, because tomorrow we will kick off our GCCM event as well. And I will be looking forward to welcome you all at the future CC events this year. Finger crossed that the next ones will also take place in Rome and in Middle East, and as well as in America, and hopefully also in CIS Russia. And until then, I would like to wish you all stay healthy, safe, and most importantly, happy. Thank you very much. Over to you, Eric.
Thank you so much. And hi, guys, and welcome you out there, and welcome everybody here. So really good to see so many good old new faces here. So happy to have you guys. So what are we going to discuss today? Ibasis was so nice, Ricardo, to say, well, you know, let's talk about the market trends and whatever is out there in the messaging market, and let's see what we can do on capitalizing on the APIs. What we would like to do, just a quick rundown. I will give you all the panelists and everybody here in the room who is on the panel a quick moment to introduce themselves, and then we'll run through a quick presentation from Ricardo from Ibasis, and then we'll bridge this into our panel discussion. So stay with us, stay tuned, and I'll give quickly the word to Sandrine. Please, Sandrine, please introduce yourself quickly to us.
Okay, so I am Sandrine Duterte, working within Orange International Carrier in the marketing, and I am responsible for all the messaging security products. So to globally secure all the SMS, P2P and A2P in the mobile operators networks.
Thank you, Sandrine. Over to you, Alpana.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Alpana, and I'm working with China Mobile International in UAE in the Middle East region. And I am also managing A2P and P2P messages for the region. Looking forward for panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and fantastic having you, Alpana. Edwin.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and thanks for the invite. My name is Edwin Carvalho. I'm the Senior Carrier Services Director at Vonage, and me and my team, we are responsible for all connectivity over SMS, voice, and many other products for Vonage.
Good having you, Edwin. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Ricardo, quick word about yourself.
Good morning to all. It's really a pleasure to be physically in an event, and it's good to be in Berlin. My name is Ricardo Martins. I work in Ibasis, and I'm VP for global sales of messaging services, meaning A2P, B2B, monetizing solutions. So all the full spectrum of the messaging.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And last but not least, Bernardo.
Good morning, everybody. It's really nice to be in presence again in trade fairs. I think the first one was in Lisbon a couple of months ago. I'm Bernardo Fonseca. I'm responsible for the wholesale team of Go for Mobility, and we cover everything from A2P SMS, voice, and messaging services.
Okay, thank you. And for you too as well, two gentlemen, thank you so much for being here live at this hybrid event, actually. So, Ricardo, if I may invite you to go up to the stand, because we really would like to listen to what you have to share with us, everything about what's out there in the messaging market. So
good morning to all again. Unmute. Do you hear me? Yeah, okay. So I think the idea is really to set the tone for the panel discussion we are having in the next few minutes, and to speak about what, in our view, is the current trends in the messaging market, and what could be the evolution in the near future. I will start briefly introducing Ibasis. I think we are an independent player in the market. We are really a global operator, and the story of the new Ibasis started 3 years ago. When Tofan acquired, the international carrier division of SFR, MEO, and Altice, and just afterwards we acquired also Ibasis. And this new foundation of Ibasis puts us really in a global positioning in this ecosystem, and with an independent position that we think has also a value. The most recent acquisition was NOS in Portugal, and with all this journey, it's important to say that we turned this year 25 years. So Ibasis was the pioneer of voice over IP, and during this path of 25 years, we are full of innovation, creativity, and we are a player in the market, a global player here for the long run. And I think 25 years are not 25 days, and it's incredible how time flies. Having said this, so we have a global portfolio. The core of the legacy services came from voice. This has the legacy DNA of Ibasis was built on the voice market. I think we are number 3 in the world in terms of carried voice minutes. We are also very strong in the reference player on mobile services with IPX connectivity. And the third pillar of our strategy is the new services. And I think messaging that we are talking here these days in Berlin and cloud communications, IoT, are part of this new strategy. And going through the messaging area, I think the fact that we are here today and we are celebrating this event because it results after the COVID-19 and all the pandemic. That was a game changer in our lives, but that was also a game changer in the business, and especially on the messaging side, we see really a huge transformation. So we see a traffic growth, while in other services like roaming or voice, we see a decline. The growing trend that we saw in messaging was accelerated during COVID. Online commerce, notifications. I think most of us should be probably vaccinated, and I guess everyone got an A2P message for the schedule of the vaccination. This is a good example on how the use cases were really brought into the market, and we see a huge increase of OTP, two-factor authentication notifications. And on top of that, we also see, because people were at home and we had to change the way we lived and the way we worked, we see an acceleration of the digital transformation, and that is bringing new challenges and new opportunities into the market, because at the end of the day, the key point is that brands and enterprises, they have a need to communicate with the customers. And how this need is addressed, it's up to us in this ecosystem and the players we are here around this table to find solutions. But I think it's safe to say that messaging channel is kind of the go-to channel. So if brands and enterprises, they want to communicate with customers, this has been the most obvious channel. And when we talk about messaging channels, we can talk a lot of things, but most of it is A2P SMS. And when we talk about this, and I'm a big fan of the old good SMS, but we can say that messaging channels are a bit more broader. And let's see about RCS if it will deliver what is promised for so many years, and we also others. And I think here is where we start seeing the potential role of APIs. And for me, API and CPAAS are fancy words. And I hope that during this session, we are able to clarify a bit more about the meaning and the role of these interfaces in the growth of the business and in fulfilling the needs that we explained before. That is, how do we get brands and enterprises to communicate better with end users and vice versa? And the thing is, one API to rule them all. It's kind of a dream or reality, and I hope that in this discussion we will be able to have more concrete words. And these APIs or CPAASs, and we see that messaging is growing, digital transformation is growing, the brands are spending more and more money on this channel. We still see a huge potential of growth because maybe only 10% of the businesses use messaging channel to communicate with customers. So the potential to grow is huge. And I think the message I wanted to pass is that when we talk about CPAAS, we are talking about an enabler that can bring together different realities and different kind of network structures in a simple way, so that the actual communication or the actual connectivity is easier. And I think CPAAS solutions have a key role on the different and integrating these different channels and enabling the enterprise through one single way, easy, effective to communicate with the users. So, and we think this is an opportunity for the native CPAAS players, but as well for telcos. It's not something new just for the newcomers. The traditional telcos or the legacy telcos should keep an eye on it. And I'm not myself. It's not only Ibasis saying that, but also consultants from Gartner that really if we think about simple use cases like Uber or Airbnb, they actually combine the different connectivities. So the underlying service is the old service of the old days, a voice call, an SMS call, but we are adding a layer of simplicity and combining that voice call with a DDI and then with an SMS and becoming the communication more rich and more interactive. And I think, let's say, due to the legacy role of the telcos, this should be a boat that they should take in, especially if they're investing on 5G, that will improve the network and will improve the speed of the communication. Not use that for more rich services would be a missed opportunity. This is applicable for all types of verticals, and then we have all sorts of use cases, and I think my colleagues in the panel will probably be able to drill on it much more. I think, let's say, it's clear that there is an opportunity. People want this, and I think the digital transformation or COVID just speed this process. What we were thinking that would happen in 5 or 10 years, it's happening now. This API and CPAAS, in our view, it's kind of a new ecosystem that is, in a simplistic way, simplifying the way the partners are interconnected. On the legacy services, we had, TDM, and interconnections between several players, and the enterprises had to add complex solutions internally in terms of IT. Now with the cloud, everything and the APIs, this becomes much simpler. But the connectivity need still is there, and I think the role of a CPAAS player, a role of Ibasis, a role of a lot of companies and partners that are here around this table, is really to facilitate that and to make the bridge between these realities. Is really to bridge the gap between the two worlds, the legacy world and this new world, that much more techy, much more savvy in terms of this API stuff, but it's basically fulfilling the same need. How do we get enterprises to communicate with end users? And if an enterprise or a telco wants to build it from scratch, maybe build his own solution, it will have a lot of challenges. To do it directly with the big tech firms, it's probably not the best solution. And I think that's the role a player like Ibasis and the ecosystem of messaging can play. And we make this bridge between these two realities, and we make this connectivity happen. And I think that's the idea, to set the tone for the discussion. Eric, I pass it to you.
Thank you very much, Ricardo, and thank you for your presentation. Thank you for sharing. Please have a seat again. So, okay, messaging market today and tomorrow. I mean, Ricardo, I mean, you mentioned a couple of trends and opportunities which are out there, of course. Of course, we will face quite some challenges as well. So maybe if I may, if you allow me, Sandrine, to come to you, what kind of trends and challenges do you see in the market today?
Well, I agree with Ricardo. The trend for SMS is still growing. So of course, mainly driven by A2P. So what we can see from all the studies is that at least by 2025, A2P traffic will continue to grow. I think that finally the pandemic also helped to make it increase with all the notifications, information we got as a simple subscriber, to get the vaccine, to get information all around the governmental decisions taken by the countries. Today, what we can see for SMS is that it's a reliable service. Nearly 100% of the SMS are read today by the subscriber, and are read very rapidly within 30 seconds. And today it's still the main channel used by the governments. We could see it since 2 years. So for us, the trend in the 3-4 coming years is still growing. Even if the P2P traffic continue its decline, but it's not so huge. It's a slow decline, depending on the countries. If we take the example of France, I think it's about 5% per year, so it's not so huge. I know that in some countries it's more, but globally it's not so huge. So this is for Orange the trend we can observe.
Okay. Alpana, do you see some other, let's say, trends and opportunities and challenges which are rising actually today?
So I see that as we view the enterprise segment, they would like to have everything in one place. There, when we look at enterprise, we see a good growth in APIs and CPAAS communication channels. So the enterprise can send messages, they can send voice in a one click, and everything should be in a one place. So if we look about future for A2P, it's still there. In next coming 4-5 years, we can still see the growth. However, there would be no new opportunities coming so far as API and CPAAS is concerned.
Okay, thank you. Edwin, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking a little bit about the trends before this panel, and I think I see three trends come up in the last few years. A2P messaging used to be about one-way communication, simple SMS, and it's still the main driver, as Sandrine mentioned. But I see one of the trends I do see is the rise of omnichannel. So we've gone through a transition, and companies no longer want to just communicate on SMS. SMS is still the main form of communication, but they want to also communicate on WhatsApp, on RCS, and Ricardo actually mentioned that in his presentation. That also, well, APIs have a powerful piece to play there, because with one API, they actually can allow companies to communicate on multiple different channels. And also for the enterprises, it allows them to communicate with their customers in the way they want to communicate. A few other trends I see is actually the rise of conversational communication, which is the transition from one-way communication, just sending a PIN code or notification, to two-way communication, which would require LVNs, short codes, numbers, and it's really about allowing the customer to answer back and to have a communication and engagement with the brand. The third trend is actually around data protection services. And I'd actually like to hear a little bit about Sandrine on this topic, since I know she works in this field. It's actually the change from just normal SMS, that is in many cases not secure, to actually have services such as data isolation, where the SMSs are kept inside, for example, the EU and not allowed to go outside of the EU, or end-to-end encryption on SMS, or even data redaction. So this is actually a trend that I see is growing quite quickly, because more and more companies are quite keen about the protection of their data.
Thank you, Edwin. I know absolutely we'll later on we'll hit the let's say the submatter topic of security and the data protection, which Sandrine is of course a specialist in as well. So Bernardo, from your point of view, I mean, we heard a lot of trends and opportunities which actually were occurred away, actually, you know, catalyzed by COVID. But on the service levels, if all those opportunities are there and with the challenges, what do you see, or what do you foresee of, let's say, what the latest developments will be in, let's say, products and services?
So I think it depends a lot on how marketing managers in the brands want to communicate. So they have opted a lot of times for A2P SMS because of ubiquity and simplicity. Mm-hmm. Now, as Edwin said, the interaction with customers, we want to pass them on content, stories, we want them to interact with the brands. And for that to happen, you need two-way messaging. Mm-hmm. Now, WhatsApp for Business, RCS, are those type of services that allow you to start interaction with the customer, and with a bit of automation and artificial intelligence to start to create the necessary flows to engage the customer and then place your services. So I see that WhatsApp for Business and RCS have huge potential to grow from there. The APIs will allow the brands to enable those services to work better, and also for their IT teams to actually pick up on those APIs and develop the type of flows that they want. But what I think is also essential for these services is to have a business model that is simpler and not so expensive for the brands to update, because the current growth we see on A2P SMS is the other type of businesses that are not super corporates that are entering into the market. Now, for an electrical company, a big telecom company, a bank, it's very easy to invest in this type of services, but if we don't make them simple and accessible to the small medium enterprise, this will not take off as much as we expect. Good point. So we need to make things simpler. We need to understand that some of our customers don't have IT teams and are not IT educated, so they want key in the hand services, and for them words like CPAAS, APIs are a showstopper, because a marketing manager on a Friday, if for example here Saturn sends a campaign and Media Market wants to respond, their marketing manager wants something fast that he can already send. So we need to be careful on all these elements and not let the opportunity go because we are not able to define fast and well the business model that we're going to put forward for the small medium enterprise, where I think it's where the growth is now coming for, especially on the regions that have been a bit behind, like South America. Africa is growing a lot. Our businesses in Mozambique and Angola are growing a lot. So this is, I think, the next services that are coming, but we need to make them easy for all our customer base.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, by the end of the day, I think we in telecoms, we and tech actually in general, we love acronyms. You know, we just come up with every day. We come up with another word, and then we tell the people, oh, we have to make it simple. You know. By the way, good word on RCS, because I know that that a big friend and a big moderator and a great person is talking about it. I think today or tomorrow. And about it.
I'm
so
curious about that.
And we'll so here at the GCC in Berlin, we'll go in deep on RCS as well. Ricardo, you showed us a little bit about it. You went a bit fast because of time, but on from Ibasis point of view, I mean, how do you prepare yourself for and what are you, let's say, developing more in products and services? What are you foreseeing or what?
Let's say we have the messaging area and let's say the current channel of B2B SMS. It's still a core service, and we are looking to new challenges like the APIs, the cloud, and how this the description of Bernardo is basically our role because we are in the middle and we are our role in this ecosystem is to be those enablers and those facilitators. Because as the marketing director of media marketing, he doesn't know about what is an API or a CPAAS.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
And he doesn't need to know. And that's the role of Ibasis and the role of the other players in the market is to make that connectivity happen. I think that's our focus. I think besides the marketing and the service development, I think interoperability and connectivity is key. So the success of SMS is there because you could reach everyone.
5G will help enormously.
So we need, for RCS to be a success, we need that interoperability to exist. And we are seeing today that we have bubbles. We have the bubble of Google, the bubble of Apple, the bubble of WhatsApp. And I think the role of Ibasis is probably to bring those bubbles together and make that
rich and enable.
And that's a bit, I think, the challenge of the industry at the moment. Because in terms of customer experience, if a brand sends a campaign and then RCS is like 20% and the rest fall back to SMS, it's not really what the brand is expecting. And I think that role of interoperability and connectivity, it has to be taken by someone in the ecosystem. I think the aggregators or the carriers, that's our main job.
Okay, cool. So how and what can we expect from utilizing APIs and correlations to new services on demand?
Well, I think as it was said before, we need to mutualize more and more services to get it simple for all the mobile operators. So also we need to better target the needs. So as you know, I work mainly on security, and we know that there are a lot of topics around security since a few years, and it's going to, maybe we cannot say grow, but be different. We know that some attacks recently are a bit different. It was also in the presentation at the beginning by Ricardo, for example. We have quite a lot of messages now of two-factor authentication, and there will be more and more. So I think we need to optimize our services and also use APIs to better understand the market, better understand the customer needs, to be able to have really good targeted services to be able to address all these new evolutions of the market and security for my part.
Okay. Thank you, Sandrine. Albana?
So, as per enterprises' need, because they will be the end users who will be utilizing APIs, we have to sync with them and provide multiple services like messaging, voice, in-app notification, and if it is required to send messages on WhatsApp, we have to collaborate all those services into one place, so it will be easy for enterprise to just click on one go and they can have utilization of all the APIs.
Okay, thank you. Edwin, anything to add?
I would just add that APIs have been an enabler for many enterprises to actually offer services over the telecom infrastructure. Bernardo mentioned, and I agree, that there's probably an extra step, and which is the solution in hand. But APIs are still a key way for enterprises to actually interact with the telecom network. I think the next step is to make the APIs easier to use, more broad, and more feature rich. And that's what we're seeing happening in the industry today.
Thank you. So moving a little bit to let's say data protection, security, and so on. Sandrine, now we all know that you're quite an expert in this one within Orange, and but what do you see there? What should we look for, and what is actually Orange doing about
it? Trying a lot, to be honest. But we have to recognize to the fraudster that they are quite smart and reactive. So of course we have services of firewalls, but what we have learned the last 2 years, I would say, is that of course you need the machine, so the firewall to be able to put some filtering rules and so on, but you really need people, security experts, to really understand what is going on the market. And this expertise is not so easy to find, but today we have a team within a range of experts to to support the mobile operators in their fight of the fraud. We know that the fraud is evolving and will continue to evolve, because we know now that the market is getting more and more secured. We expect by the end of 2022 that more than 80% of the mobile operator will have SMS firewall by this time. But we know also that the market evolves, and we can see more and more, for example, attacks on the signaling network, on the SS7 mainly. So also we work to diversify and optimize the SMS firewall to be able also to detect some fraud on the transport layer, so on the SS7. But again, I think what is really important now is people on one side, and on the other side the machine learning and artificial intelligence. To when we have a case on one customer, to be able to replicate it, the protection on the other ones, to use a global database to be able to get it for all our customers, not to work as a segmented customer, but to be able to have a global database to protect all our customers.
Okay, thank you. Bernardo, tell me, on the security, on the data protection, on the fraudsters, what are you doing about it? What do you see around you?
It's not really where we are going to be actually customers of somebody else. I think as we talk about fraud and all these elements, it is an area that requires investment from our customer base. Banks are always the ones that have more requirements, especially on A2P SMS and all the setups that they do. But it's an area that we need to invest, because there's a huge perception that from politicians and society in general, that the biggest fraud and issues come from the new digital world. And actually that's not true. For example, in our homeland, Portugal, the the biggest use cases of fraud, for example, in banking, is the false bank clerk and the expired credit card that people call you and get you on the phone. So this is an interesting area because we'll need to react based on the perception of society, but also on actually securing everything that we do, as Edwin was saying, on encrypting the type of communication, especially when we start to do two-way messaging, selling, and having financial transactions in those communication channels. We need to increase a lot the type of security that we have in our communications. So two ways here. One, actually the security levels that we need to increase from a world of A2P SMS into the new way these two-way services are going to communicate with customers. On the other side, it's the perception that we also need to work as an industry in terms of addressing the governance bodies, the regulators, not to end up in situations and scenarios that we don't want, because normally regulators tend to be more drastic and create a lot of barriers and not really solutions. On a simple element, for example, like A2P SMS, we saw what happened in United Arab Emirates, which drastically cut down the opportunities in the market. And I think that can also become in the other areas where we need security.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I fully agree with Bernard said and Sandrine as well. And I think we have to do a combination of all these tools. So basically, if we are in a growing market and the SMS is growing, it's natural that the fraud will grow as well. It's fact of life. I think what we have to be prepared and we have to succeed is to keep the channel clean and secure. Because if the brands and the end users,
but they are so fast. We're always behind. Always.
Yes, but I think, let's say, as I said, I think we can use a combination of technical tools like the firewalls. And I think, with machine learning, the firewalls are effective, and the mobile operators should have a firewall in place.
I think the managed services and managing the firewall should actually be
It's
more
like-
effective, because I can have the most beautiful box, the Rolls Royce, but if I don't know how to use it and to utilize it.
No, but firewall being a managed firewall solution, because the day you set up a firewall in the network, it's out of date. So you need to daily basis update rules and configurations. And today with the technology and the quality of the managed services available, I think we can deliver that service. And on top of that, I think we have to work on the other layer, that is awareness and the education of the users. And I think there are several initiatives with like the registration of sender IDs, these workshops, just to make people aware that there is an issue, that like phishing and smishing is an issue, and we need to educate mobile operators, we need to educate users, and it's not an easy task, because at the end, the channel has to be secure. If we lose the trust in the channel, we will have issues.
We will kill ourselves. That's what will happen.
But we should do it with self-regulation and not
rather please do it with self-regulation rather than wait for the
regulators to
exactly. That's exactly what I think. So ladies and gentlemen, actually coming to almost an end of this first session here in Berlin, and of course virtually with you guys out there, and thank you for that. Alpana, how do you see the future? Tell us. China Mobile, you're such a huge company, you have so many ideas. Tell us.
So we see a lot of services coming up which will support A2P, CPAAS, and we see IoT and cloud as a basically future for a lot of us.
Okay, thank you so much. Edwin.
Well, it's a very nice future, isn't it? It's a market growing at 40% per year, and we're all in this fantastic market. New services being launched every day. So yes, it's a sunny future.
Okay, cool. Sandrine, how do you see the future?
How do we see the future? Yeah, quite a lot of challenge, a lot of new. Sorry?
Give us the orange glass bowl, the crystal bowl. What's
the
up?
crystal ball. I wish I had. No, a lot of innovation, I think, a lot of new services. So I think it's quite challenging, but very, very interesting. Of course, more digitalization, more and more. The world is evolving in this way, but also more and more security. As you said, we're running after the fraudster, where we try to try to be as fast as possible. But of course, we must rely sure on the managed services. Sure.
Sandrine, one last question to you. Did you see over the years the budget for the security protection go up? Because we talk about it, but I mean, I know you're in charge, but do you see the budgets internally going up on that as well?
The budget?
Yeah, the budgets are they going? I mean, do the operator, do the player in the markets, let's say, plan more money, every year for the data protection and so on?
Yeah, I think so. Well, after depending on the size of the MNO, depending if they are small, medium, or big one. But I think since now a few years, they have been more and more aware of the market but they need to monetize the SMS. But they lose a lot of money if they don't manage to monetize. So I think they are ready to invest more and more, but also rely on managed services. So we have to work both ways. I mean, both in managed services and for some operators, especially big ones, I think they want to manage by themselves.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Fernando, how does the future look?
Brighter. I think if we look at the numbers in 2020, the world sent around 2.7 trillion SMSs only, which is 10% growth towards 2019. It is foreseen that the industry is going to have a value of $90,000 million in 2027. And actually, we saw an acceleration during COVID. So I think what technology has enabled us to do, how all these enablers, now this creation of the CPAAS platforms, the multi-channel platforms that we are also investing on, I think it's going to be great. And we are now mixing use cases with voice, with SMS. I think WhatsApp and RCS will work together with SMS. We have scenarios where SMS starts and then moves into other channels. So I think we have a lot to do. We are conquering new segments on the enterprise part, getting lower to the small, medium enterprise customers. So I think it's going to be very good for the industry in the next 7 to 8 years.
Yeah, no, some famous last words.
I agree with my colleagues said here. I think it's also important to try to speed up this development, this exciting development across the globe. I think we still see, markets like Latin America or Africa that are not picking up this wave and this opportunity as other markets are. And I think,
and it's not always that easy for them as it is, let's say, in the US, in North, and in Europe.
And that's again a challenge for Ibasis, for a company like Ibasis, because as a global player, we want to bring all on board, and we want to bring our solutions to the global market. And I think if these areas can pick up, I think the potential that we see on US or Europe will be even more interesting for everyone. And the market can grow on a sustained manner.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, with these nice and famous words, we're going to end this session. First of all, I would like to thank the audience here for being here with us live and to see so many faces, and also in the other room. So thank you for that. I would like to thank the audience out there, and I know we're live on Zoom and on Facebook. So all the best for you out there, and of course, with great honor, Sandrine, merci.
Merci. À bientôt.
Thank you for being here. Alpana, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Edwin, thank you so much, man. See you soon.
Thank you.
See you
See you
soon.
Thanks, Paul.
And of course, the two gentlemen here, Bernardo and Ricardo, and of course, Ibasis for sponsoring this session. So
It's always a pleasure.
So for everybody here, enjoy the show, have fun, you know, do whatever you need to do. And for you out there, I mean, I will hope to see you soon, huh? Sandrine, Alpana, and Edwin. See you soon, huh? Okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
So
you.
much, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Bye.